Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everybody from home and abroad. Myself, Habib Rahman, with you today with this platform, Community Talks Facebook and Community Talks YouTube, both Community Talks video and Community Talk, with a very special topic today with our very renowned guest from Bangladesh and India. Total 5 guests will be with me today. So at the inception of my talk, our talks, I'm very heartful, grateful to Almighty who has actually given this and also kept us still alive. So let me introduce with our veteran speakers and honorable guests of this session. Today, Community Talks 25th session on CSR in community building during COVID. So let me introduce. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Viewers, let me introduce with you our honorable guest from the right corner, Mr. Masood Khan, very renowned high-scale corporate in Bangladesh. He is currently chairman of GSK Group and honorable chief advisor of Board of Trustees of Khanum Cement. So Masood Khan, Masood bhai, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And let me introduce my very beloved and respected Appa, Selina Ahmed Ena. Appa, welcome to this episode.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. And from India, actually 2 parts to state of India, I have invited to renowned personality from India, Dr. P.M. Nair. Nairji, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening, Adab,
right.
And Namaste.
Right. Dr. P.M. Nair actually has a long journey with Police Foundation, Police Department of Indian government. He is former DG of Police, Indian Police, and he has a huge expertise on human trafficking and also CSR in that area. Long years. So we will actually gradually listen from you, Dr. Nair, and Dr. Banshidhar Pandey. He is Honorable Dean of Student Affairs and Head of Department of Social Work in an university. So PM Nair and Pandey, welcome both in that episode of Community Talks today.
It's my pleasure, sir, and good evening, and assalamu alaikum to everyone.
All right, thank you. Actually, in Facebook Live, Community Talks platform has having that test of 25th episode, having versatile guests from different parts of the world on different topics. So this topic this day is very special to me, having all of you together on that topic is COVID-19. It might be during or post impacts and the implementation of ways, approach and scope of corporate social responsibilities. So as both countries are invited, it's better to have a comparison and just sharing through the discussion how CSR is functional in India and Bangladesh. But before that, it's better as we are not at all fine, everybody. So initially, I would like to request, starting from Dr. Pandey, just to share how you are during this time at home, at office, at market, right? In your community. Dr. Pandey, please.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Professor Rahman, for calling me and inviting me and providing opportunity to share my views with very fantastic viewers as well as the very renowned panelist. Dear brothers and sisters, I am from the country of the world where people believed in the concept of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanti, Ma Pashyantu Bhavaya. That is, happy everyone. This concept has inspired us to help others even in COVID-19 era. We have not lost persons living during the crisis caused by this epidemic. I'm not saying that there were no difficulties, but our culture proclaims that jahan chah wahan raah. That is, if there is a will, there is a way. I'm not talking about the India. I'm talking about the India which Tagore said that Jodi to tak sune na koi, ekla chalo re means open the mind, walk alone. We are not afraid, walk alone. The purpose of quoting this line is that we tend to work alone and secularism. Just miss the practice that we are bringing back to our lifestyle. People are adopting a moderate and disciplined lifestyle. This pandemic has made everyone think in a new way, and social work is also no exception, as myself is not an exception, as being a social worker. What should be the role of social work in this pandemic and after it? It is also worth considering, and is also the right time to implement. If seen in the present context, corona positive cases are increasing. Till date, the total number of infected people in India has reached about 1 million. It was around 9,70,000 till 6 o'clock evening. The number of existing cases reached more than 3,32,000 so far, that about 0.9% of the total population has been tested in India. And out of the total tests conducted so far, about 7.3% people has been found infected. Since India is a country of diversity and there is a lot of geographical and cultural diversity, so there is a difference in appearance of transition in various states. The rate of growth per day of infection in India is around 3.38%. 63.06% of infected people have recovered and 2.67% have died. The remaining 34.27 are undergoing treatment. We are in the second phase of unlocking. Since I am from Varanasi, the oldest city of India, and people say that it is the oldest live city of the world, therefore it is important to mention about here also. There are about 500 infected people in Varanasi right now. On the one hand, while 30 people are getting cured every day, and there are also about 50 new positive cases per day. Healthcare is sufficient. Weekend lockdown is going on. My university, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapeeth, which is named for the father of nation Mahatma Gandhi ji, is also committed to social responsibility. We are doing many things. Our vice chancellors, our professors of the university, our students, they are engaging with community people. As far as the family front concerned, in last 4 months, the family bonding were more and more powerful in last 4 months, I can say. But what happened? We are not attending any ceremony. We are postponed everything, and people are living in something we can call in uncertain era of life, which we have not seen. In fact, I have not seen in my lifetime. What will happen tomorrow? Nobody knows. This is the basic problem, basic challenge we have to face. So the social responsibility will increase in the pandemic area and after the post-pandemic area. So we will talk about later. And thanks again, Professor Rahman, for giving me a chance.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Balshidhar. Actually, a very good starting, and it's a big concern now. And after that, there are so many challenges already, and we are just waiting for the challenges later on after this COVID. So thank you. I'm coming to my honorable guest, Mr. Masood Khan. Masood Bhai, could you please share? I know you are very, very busy. You are a very busy man with so many works, but this time, how you are at home and office, and actually how you are passing time, that would be a story for us and sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Habib Bhai. So, and good evening to everybody. Assalamu alaikum. So, when COVID started in Dhaka and in Bangladesh as well, it was towards the end of March. So, initially, actually, we started doing work from home. As far as my company is concerned, where I'm working at the moment now, which is this group of companies of Crown Cement. So, we work from home for about 2 weeks or so. But unfortunately, as it happens in local companies, that the IT setup is not that good compared to, let's say, MNCs, where I'm actually engaged as well. So we found that after 2 weeks that the operations were suffering actually. So thereafter, despite the sort of lockdown, official lockdown of the government, unofficially already people were starting, moving in the roads actually, and we also actually, started going to office in a very limited scale. And I was going to office almost regularly, as a matter of fact. So that continued, in fact, and of course, when the lockdown was lifted, I started going much more. But when the lockdown was taking place, I really used my time very fruitfully because during the day I used to do a lot of studies, read a lot of novels which I had forgotten. In my early days, I was a voracious reader of novels actually, especially the classics. So that I did, and I'm also a teacher, by the way, in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. So I'm doing a lot of online teaching. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I've got class as well. So, and of course, evenings are very busy because nowadays almost, I think in a week, I spend at least speak in 3 or 4 webinars actually, in fact. People invite me for various issues and I talk in these webinars basically. So yeah, this is the way I'm passing my time. I mean, in fact, my time is full. I might say that it's not that I've got much idle time. And right now, of course, the office is in full swing now. So I'm doing office now. So time is good now. But I think the issue in Bangladesh is similar to India, i.e., that we share the same sort of social situation, and let's say in terms of the social distance awareness, for example, I think in Bangladesh also is not very good. So the cases are rising alarmingly. Uh, at the moment, as we speak now, out of say on a daily basis, we find that from the total number of cases that are tested, 25% are positive, and this
Right.
number is still not going down actually. In fact, the graph is still upwards. The official numbers are that almost 2 lakhs have been actually diagnosed with COVID, and about 2,500 people have died, which is about 1.25%. But unofficially, I would say that the numbers are far, far bigger because the number of testing is very, very small, actually, in fact. So we are still a long way from, let's say, reaching the peak, as we are saying now. So it could be still months before we see this sort of light at the end of the tunnel. So at the moment, we are still in darkness, actually. I think I'll stop at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Masud. Wonderful. Actually, one thing I could learn and our viewers friend could learn that this time where so many people are stuck, they are thinking, they are frustrated, they are off, they are unscheduled, but that we learn from you that we can easily use the time properly. We can make a schedule, right, rather previous day, because as we are off, unscheduled reason, there is no way to actually meaningless, make the time meaningless. Thank you. Wonderful suggestions. So may I come to Dr. PM Nair. Dr. Nair, could you please share us how you are passing your time this time actually, and what is the situation of your areas? India is such a big country, so it's.
Thank you. You asked 2 important questions. One is the scenario and what you are doing. So let me start with the scenario. Am I audible?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you. It's a delight joining this community talk. I'm so happy that you are exposing this cause so well. 25th session, amazing work. I'm salute you for that. Well,
Thank you.
all
Thanks,
those,
my honor.
Thank you. And all those who are, I'm very happy that so many people across the world are listening to this. Well, the scenario in India, from my perspective, I would say what was unnatural has become natural. What was unnatural has become natural. For example, sitting at home. If I sit at home, maybe 3 months back, people ask me, what happened to you? What's wrong with you? Today, well, they ask you, why the hell you're outside? Be at home. Number 2, what was natural has become unnatural. Like shaking hands. We used to hug and shake hands with all friends. Today, it's become completely unnatural. You are not supposed to do that. Perceptions of a person's on the entire living style has changed. The narrative has changed. The discourse has changed. It's a complete transformation. This is a revolution. This is a revolution. Even Karl Marx would not have envisaged such a revolution. Well, the good and bad is a relative term that we can always discuss. Children, when you think of children, They have more time with the parents, and parents have more time with the children. That's something which even children also never expected. My papa and mommy, dad and mom are with me. They are also surprised. Now, internet is running the show. Internet has taken over the whole world. Even this community talk itself is an example. Now, internet has come in the bedroom. Along with the internet, all the plus and minus issues have also come in the bedroom. Work at home culture has become stabilized now. Corporates, so many corporates in India, for example, TCS, they have declared that for the coming 2 years, they don't want to run the office at all. What will happen? The huge establishments they have created, massive buildings across the country. So work at home culture has come in. Now, there are downsides. We'll focus a little later, but still let me mention a passing. People who do not have homes. When I say work at home, I think of the people who have homes. But the millions and millions of people who do not have homes, where are they? What are they doing? What's happening to them? What is happening to their families? What is happening to their children? Now, what is happening in the net? Internet is coming home. Very good. Thank you so much. But what is on the other side? What's happening on the dark net? What is happening on the deep net? What is happening on the invisible part of the net? Then what is happening? The production, the transmission, and transport. So many materials have been produced and it's lying there. Nobody to buy or nobody to use. Consumption. Selected items are being consumed, other things are not being consumed. The entire supply chain has been affected in a dramatic way. The social sector, coming to social sector, it means including health sector, innumerable changes. So many challenges have come in. Now, we have very good practices, sterling good practices, and we have poor practices also. Maybe we could share a little later on that. We can discuss on that. Coming to what I do, well, I spent 35 years in the Indian Police Service and retired as the Director General, head of the National Disaster Response Force. Worked in so many portfolios in the field and other places too, investigation, etc. I have even come to Bangladesh for training people on labor, child labor and child sexual abuse and rights of women and rights of children. That's the area which I'm working on. Rights of women and rights of children. And here, my business of now is mostly on training and capacity building. Training and capacity building are different. Capacity building of researchers across country and even outside. Lot of collaborative work with the various international institutes and universities. Yesterday only we finished one with the Cambridge University, and now one more coming up in tomorrow, day after tomorrow again. So lot of activity on the youth mobilization. My area of work is focused more on human trafficking. So I focus on the mobilizing the youth in the colleges in the anti-human trafficking clubs, AHTC. It's a massive work going on across the country and even outside. Then mobilizing the village people, panchayat. We have panchayat in system in India. Mobilizing the panchayat against human trafficking. I call it that PAHT, P-A-H-T, panchayat against human trafficking. That's another area which I'm focus work on during the COVID time. And then a lot of work on rehabilitation. And I also advise on the CSR for a very important Chennai-based national company, a very important establishment, and it's probably one of the highest rated companies in this region. And for the CSR also, I'm an advisor. So these are the activities basically I'm engaged in. Many more, but we will talk later on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nair. Thank you for a wonderful inception. Let me come to, and before coming to Selina Ahmed Ena, just one message. Another guest, Dr. Mahfuzul Haq, ex-secretary. He's just knocking and he's writing me, I'm unlucky so far because internet is not working at home. So I'm waiting for that internet. If I got Wi-Fi, I will just connect soon. So let me come to Selina Ahmed Ena. Appa, could you share some feelings within a short time, how you are passing your time? One day you shared me that you are very busier than previous time. So how the day is going on at home and office together from home, right?
All right. Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful session you have organized. Call. I can share that actually at the end of March we started work from home. This is the new life actually we started. It's because you know that's the after lockdown and also our office also giving that space for us that we can work from home. It's flexibility we have for the women especially and others still. That's 25% people actually they are going. But since I think that more than 3 months I work from home, it's a totally the virtual life is a dependency. It's increasing, I would say, and also the work and family life balance. You know, that's being a woman, we are working outside and we are also home. So both expectations from home when I am working from home and then fulfill that role too. So that is sometimes it's very difficult to balance actually. And so unusual, unexpected. Actually, we didn't face kind of a situation before. So in our life, actually, this is a new learning for us. But now, as a new normal, we are also coping. Being a working woman, I'm also trying to balance both. That is, I would say that COVID is giving us lessons because we were running and our needs actually this all the time the materialistic need, that's how it was increasing. So now I just feel that way. I realize that now is the mind also changing. That is, we don't need so many things. We can live our life with simplicity. So this is the lesson for me too, and for others too. And also, we should have more empathetic. We know that people are more vulnerable. Like this, those are basically the day labor in our country. Maksud also mentioned the different life that, and it's not only the physical health issues, the economic issues, it's the social issues, it's the psychological issues. Lots of impact in our life. So we are coping our, I think, best with our level. And for work life, actually, I would say that yes, we are much connected now to internet. And you know, there's a brag when we started like the end of March and April that time, we did a rapid assessment. Like that's the gender dimension we wanted to see for its impact. So to our gender justice and advocacy program, we understand. And we also see that during this time, the women's life actually, in terms of work and family life balance, it is the care work, garden is increasing, gender-based violence is increasing, and as well as the mental health aspect also hampered. So we are trying to address those aspects too, and also the child marriage is increasing. So from our working perspective, we are trying to address through different interventions, and we are targeting more vulnerable and or those are at risk. So we are trying that way actually to address their problems. I'm sorry, it would be in English actually I was speaking now.
Thank you, Appa. Thanks for wonderful introduction. Dear viewers, today's topic is CSR, that is corporate social responsibility, and its responsibility during COVID. Actually, it might be by different industries, corporations, any other foundations, or any institution. So this topic, so far my knowledge goes, I have had also some confusions on that CSR. Actually, what CSR really means, because it's listening from, and it's in our society that there are so many functions happening by name of CSR. So from this discussion, we might have a better understanding, or we might go actually for further discussion from today. So CSR, that means corporate social responsibility. It's worldly meaning we can say this, but if I share a definition of corporate social responsibility is corporate social responsibility is a self-regulating business model that helps a company be socially accountable. So there is a term socially accountable by any corporates or any business to itself, to its stakeholders and the public. So there are three components I would like to throw to my respected guest from the definition of corporate social responsibility, that it has three: liability on itself, I mean the company, and its stakeholder and the public. There are three parts beneficiary group from that CSR, and it also said that by practicing corporate social responsibility, also called corporate citizenship, companies can be conscious of the kind of impact they are having on all aspects society, including economic, social, and environmental. I mean, a sound society. As my concern is community talks, just to see a better community, healthy community, balanced community, sustainable community achieving SDGs. So definitely CSR is a big and vital part, I think. I do believe that's why this session is dedicated for the people of all stakeholders of the society. Let's come to Professor Pandey. Just before coming to you, my point is in Bangladesh, we have had a study in my leadership, through the literature, through interviewing, I didn't find any specific, proper grounded policy on that. What should be the percentage of the profit sharing of the industry, of the corporations, of the institutions, exactly. But APA will share properly, could share properly. Bangladesh Bank have had a policy on that, especially for the financial organization. We'll later know it from you, APA. But from Pandey, could you share anything else in India in terms of policy, black and white by the government, regulated by the government, that industry or the corporations are bound to do that, like anything? Your time is 3 minutes, sir. Professor Pandey, your time is 3 minutes. Don't forget.
So I will try to finish within 3 minutes. Actually, the four phases of social responsibility, that is economic, legal, ethical, and the fourth one is voluntary and philanthropy. Keeping in this mind, CSR have no boundary and is no constraint by race, color, religion. But if it will be left on it will leave on the organizations, they may do right, they may do wrong, they may do something or they may not. That's why, keeping in this mind, the Indian government formed the policies for CSR as per the section 135 of Companies Rule 2014 and the Schedule 7th of the Companies Act 2013. It is in Indian Companies Act. Every company having net worth of rupees 500 crore. It should be noted that 500 crore, worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or turnover of rupees 1000 crore or more, or net profit of rupees 5 crore or more during the immediate preceding financial year, must have a CSR committee and spend at least 2% of average net profit earned during the immediate preceding financial year to CSR activity. As you talked, Professor Rahman, in India, it is, I am repeating once again, must have a CSR committee and spend at least 2% of the average net profit earned during the immediate preceding financial year to CSR activity. The origin of CSR, of course, go back to the beginning of modern capitalism with the smart bosses regarding that treating their workers fairly would increase productivity, but there has been a significant acceleration in CSR over the past few decades. And after coming the Millennium Development Goal and particularly the Sustainable Development Goal, particularly with regard to supporting society as a whole. However, today is a key moment for CSR. Never before has there been such a need of CSR contribution, yet such a difficult environment in which we are living. CSR post Covid-19 will a few industry will drives business forward to the 3 P's of sustainable business, that is people, planet, and profit. I would add the 4th P, that is purpose. It is rightly said that money belongs to you, but resources belong to the society. I think I have tried to throw light something what you have asked. Sir. Now over to you, Professor Rahman.
All right, thank you, Professor Pandey. Actually, last guest, Professor Dr. Mahfuzul Haq. He is adjunct faculty of Dhaka University and Development Studies, and adjunct professor of Bangladesh University of Professional, former secretary, Dr. Mahfuzul Haq. Could you hear me, sir? Hello? Could you hear me?
Habib?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Habib, you're talking to me? Mahfuz? Yeah. Good evening, Habib. Yeah, it's nice to meet all of you. I'm sorry I was late. In fact, I had some, hiccups, with the technical glitch, as you call it. So now I'm back. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be back. Yes, it's nice to see all of you.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. So already we have done our first round, self-reliance and of course self-sharing. So you were invited for two minutes initially, just to say how you are this time during this COVID at home and how you are keeping relations, offices, extra works. So your time is 2 minutes, sir, just for sharing. Dr. Mahfuzul Haq.
Okay, thank you, Habib. Well, it's nice to be back. I feel like that, I'm a worthy person, worthy citizen that I could contribute something. Not a redundant one, obsolete one. I'm back. I'm back on the track. That's a good feeling. As of now, I'm well. I'm trying to accommodate myself with this situation, with this COVID, coronavirus situation, and I apprehend that this situation would continue for a few more months or so. I'm afraid so. That being so, trying to keep myself, with me. I'm trying to remain with me. There's a big challenge for me in good health. Little bit of morning walk and moving around, writing something, and doing some paintings as well. I thought that I should do some paintings, so I started doing some, drawing some paintings as well. So thank you so much. Yes, maybe later on I'll be able to contribute something. Thank you so much.
That's great, sir. Thank you. Dear viewers, already so many friends from India and different parts of the world join us. So before coming to Mr. Masood Khan, as CSR, the term, somehow it relates to corporate especially. So as a tycoon of corporate, Masood Khan will discuss us a little bit more that really expected that people want to know more really, that I'm waiting for you, sir. Just I'm coming back to you. Let me share you the greetings that people's joining from different area. Dr. Dimpy Mahanta. Hi, Professor Rahman. Dimpy is a professor in India. Dr. Shakti Prabha from India. Dr. Dimpy, hello. Professor Banshidhar. Dr. Priyanka from India. Good evening all. Hussain Ahmed. Good evening all. Manika Dubey. Good evening. Shabanos, good evening, Sir. Shakti Prabha, good evening, Dr. Nair. Shakti, good evening, Professor Pandey. Shakti, good evening, all. Shimol Siddiq, good evening, my dear Mr. Masood Khan, sir. Thank you, Shimol. Mr. Shimol, very nice to see you here, sir. Thank you. Community Talks, greeted all. Dr. Dimpy, Jahidul Islam Junior, Habib sir, best meeting. Rahul Gupta, good evening to all. Mahfuz sir is joining. Rahul Gupta. Pandey sir, good evening. Girish Dubey, good evening, sir. And there are so many comments actually coming. We'll take a few more questions later on. So let's come to Mr. Masood Khan. Masood bhai, that we know that CSR has so many meaning in different way and so many importance. But before coming to you, just I'd like to highlight 4 points, especially CSR puts value in increasing employee satisfaction in a company, in a corporation or corporate. It increase or improve public image of the company and improve customer loyalty, customer satisfaction also. The company that does really CSR. And last thing is creativity. Creativity, it means creativity of the employees also in that case. So how actually in Bangladesh perspective, you could share us what exactly CSR means and it's doing and been happening here in Bangladesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before I talk about CSR, we must understand actually that where CSR is coming from actually, right?
Right.
CSR actually, the background of CSR is sustainable development. And CSR has actually evolved from this concept of sustainable development, the earlier concept. Now, of course, we have got sustainable development goals, the 17 pillars. But earlier, when we talked about sustainable development, the 3 pillars that was touched upon earlier, the 3 pillars of planet, people, and profits. These are the 3 planets of sustainable development. So when we talk about planet, basically we are talking about the environment. When we are talking about people, we are talking about the employees of the company. We are talking about the other direct and indirect stakeholders of this company, i.e. the customers, the suppliers, and also the government, for example, as the outsider, the NGOs, for example, let's say, the community at large, which is very important. We'll come to that later on, actually, in fact. And the third part, which is profits. There we talk about sustainable profits, because the point is that you must make profits, otherwise you can't do all these things. But at the same time, now the concept of corporate governance has come in a big way. So the idea is that ultimately when we earn profits, we have to earn it responsibly. This is the 3 pillars of CSR as well today. This is the first important point that I'd like to share. So as far as I'm concerned, I would just like to touch upon the fact that I have been involved in CSR for the last 40 years because so far I have worked in 2 multinational companies. My first company was British American Tobacco, BAT, where CSR was a part of life because tobacco companies have to do a lot of CSR to survive. So this is the first important point. And second point was that I was in Lafarge Surma Cement. This is also a huge company in Bangladesh with operations in India as well. We get the limestone from India. We've got a quarry there. Here also the importance of CSR was very, very high. A lot of money was spent on both sides of the border. In India, for example, the quarry is in a very, very remote location in Meghalaya. So we are spending a lot of money in terms of CSR to make sure the people are happy, and in Bangladesh as well, because Chatak is also a very remote area. Today, for example, apart from being the chairman of GSK Bangladesh, I also sit in the board of Marico Bangladesh, and I'll talk about that later on in terms of what we're doing in terms of CSR. I sit in the board of Berger, I sit in the board of Singer Bangladesh also, and Community Bank Bangladesh, and VLATEX also. VLATEX is another company where we do a lot of CSR as well. So I'll touch upon these issues later on, but just to recap what I'm saying, that to my mind, CSR is very clear. The 3 pillars of CSR are planet, people, and profits. So I'll discuss about these 3 levers, and what we have done as far as the companies that I have engaged with later on in my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So thank you. Masud I will come back to you again. Let's come to Selina and Ahmed. Selina, could you hear me? Okay. So
yeah, I can.
your long years journey with Acid Survivor Foundation as an ED, now BRAC, and there are so many other organizations. I shouldn't mention the name here. What is your practical experiences that's happening? Masud Khan Bhai was telling about his real experiences, most of the cases multinational companies, right? So what do you think, actually, what is the real scenario from your experience?
Thank you so much. And Masud Bhai clearly mentioned about CSR, and I am not the
Right.
CSR expert actually. I just
Right.
still am learning. So, but based on our fund mobilization strategy, actually, we tried some for CSR fund mobilization. That's when I worked for Assi Survivors Foundation. I know that, since I think 2013 to just last year, I just left Assi Survivors Foundation. Assi Survivors Foundation is a different time actually. They mobilized CSR fund. That this foundations, yes, we have the donation from different donors, the development partners, as well as they also mobilized CSR. And we tried our best that time. Actually, as per the Bangladesh Bank circular, where it's mentioned that all financial institutions, Masood Bhai can tell that the percentage of profit actually they have to give as a CSR money. For welfare, or for the development work as well as the social work. So it is mandatory for all the financial institutions, so far I know. And we try to just mobilize that fund. Bangladesh Bank also, they have gave us the circular that all the financial institutions they can support Assi Survivors Foundation. So we tried, but actually what we found sometimes is yes, so we got some positive response from some of the companies as well as the bank, but most of the cases we didn't get in response that way, the very positive way. So we have the mixed experience actually. So I wanted to mention that yes, some of the organizations basically or financial institutions they have their own foundation, so they are doing their work, the CSR work, so their foundation actually. But if we just go back our childhood, because this is the philanthropic work actually, we know that's the as per the Maslow's hierarchy theory. That's first what we have. That's the physical need, the physiological need we have. That's when born, and after that the safety and security, and then love and belongingness, and also the self-esteem, and then last when our the self-actualization need. So that need actually leads us sometimes the philanthropic work. So for community, actually, we are responsible to work for the community betterment or welfare. But the practical experience, what we see now that yes, they are doing some very good work because it's a big experience, I should say, because the profit-making organizations they sometimes don't think that way the development need actually the social works need. So that way, it's a really challenge also we face sometimes to convince them to collect that CSR fund from this. It's a mixed experience. So I'd like to say that's what is the motto or what's the mission actually why we are supporting, we need to support. So that is the sometimes we experience that still some people, so those are basically rich people, they can do so because for their community. It's not only the corporate social responsibility as a part, but if we want to do as a community worker, volunteer work, or we want to do for the like this in this situation actually for empathy, definitely we should have that just sharing our resources, because if it is the poor people, those are at, very vulnerable or those are at risk. So if the this corporate social responsibility part, if they don't think about them and also they don't just consider their needs, and also the rich people, those also they can help. So it is really important to rethink our role and responsibility. It's a part of accountability too. So it's not only that we ask, it is mandatory. And what Masood Bhai also said, that yes, it's a sustainable development. We know that there is a hopeful event also. Now they are thinking that how we could mobilize CSR fund. And it's not only the government and other donor will do that to fulfillment that goal or contribute towards that goal. So that is also important. The CSR part also needs to be strengthened, mobilized. So I have the mixed experience. I'm not sure whether I answered.
That's great, Appa. Thank you. Thank you, Appa, for very good discussion. Let's come to Dr. PM Nair. Before coming to you, that I could understand, CSR lies on basically three components that honorable guest Mr. Masood Khan share us. 3P, that is people, profit, and planet. So the corporate should do for their own interest in that sense, because they are the stakeholder of that, and they are trying to make their business sustainable, society friendly, environment friendly, green. This time, COVID-19, Bangladesh and India, my knowledge goes, so far I could actually get the message from social media. Government is trying, industrial is trying, and still there is a huge hours and buzz of that word CSR. That the industrialists, the rich class people, that the corporations, the big organizations can put their pure attention to community building, rebuilding in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of reconstruction, and there are so many other things, especially the education of the child in institute here. Like one thing, in Bangladesh, we are getting digital Bangladesh, and by that opportunity, we are having this thing, but matter is still, many students, out of their capacity, by all means, they cannot afford the internet bill, MB purchasing, just to have that engagement in online classes. In India, same thing happening. I have some connections with friends. They're actually saying, because all parts of India cannot cover these two things. So how can you match the link between these two things? How CSR, not this time immediately through the policy intervention after the COVID, because it's a longer term uncertain pandemic situation, uncertain crisis. So Dr. Nair, how could you match that relation and find some uses of CSR in that part really to solve this crisis of the poor people, especially poor students? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the question. It's how can CSR be channelized for benefiting the youth or the students? Very important question. In fact, I think the whole purpose of CSR would be appreciated if that sort of a reservation or that sort of a priority can be given to look after the interests of the youth, and not only the youth, I would even have one more step, the youth who are deprived, the youth who are from the deprived sections of society, the adolescents who are vulnerable. In fact, a rich man's child sitting at home does not need any help. He or she has got adequate, more than enough. But the poor man's child, as you rightly said, who can't even afford to buy a dongle or a computer, and what on earth you talk to him sitting at home in electronic classes, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. In fact, if you see the schools in India, I'm sure must be the same case in Nepal, Bangladesh too. Most of the children in the interiors, in many parts of India, almost more than 50% of Indian subcontinent, children go to school. You know what for? They go for a meal. They go for the midday meal. The midday meal is the attraction for children. Their stomach gets filled, then they are live. So the midday meal is a very important attraction. Now, many agencies here, Sai Baba Society in Karnataka, they have started giving breakfast to children, because midday meal means children used to come later. Now breakfast means children come early in the morning. So they have breakfast, then study, then lunch, then go home. So that sort of attraction for the youth and children are very important. There is a need to focus on this. Government of India, as in their initiative, asked the people to contribute to the Prime Minister's Relief Fund as that will be deemed to be a CSR support. So from the CSR, if you want to give money to the Prime Minister's Relief Fund, that can also be treated as one of the items which they have taken now. Why PM Fund? The PM Prime Minister's Fund is being utilized for taking care of such people. We have seen large-scale migration in India during the COVID scenario. Most of the migrants have gone back to the villages. Migrants and families and children. What are they doing? They are doing nothing. The migrants might go back after some time for work, but what will happen to the women and children there? No schooling there. So this is a time we invest on the schools, invest on the empowerment of the women, invest on their skills. So this particular time, if we can focus on the adolescents and this sort of deprived section society, that can make a difference, huge difference. A small example. I worked in the government of India in the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, which is the prime agency of the government of India with a responsibility for internal security. That's one part. We are doing internal security part. But on one of the missions which I had as the national head of the force, head of the operations of the force, was to deal with fight with the left-wing extremism, with the militancy, with extremism and things like that. So fighting with extremism is not always the weapons. That's one part. I said, let my colleagues do that part. Let me do the track too. What I did was talk to the NGO, civil society across that region. So many states, so many districts, so many places, huge area, 83 districts rather. So talk to the NGOs working there who are working with women and children and communicate with the adolescents who are either Naxalites, means left-wing extremism, they've already joined, or on the fence. They're going to join anytime because of the pressure there in the village. So we identify such people who are vulnerable, and then we just survey what they can do. They're all willing to come. They're ready to come on with a life of dignity. All these people are actually trafficked and exploited day in and out. So when you try to find opportunity, we find very interesting opportunity and very interesting things happen. Very example. We have not many of these youth trained and today working as security guards. Fantastic. They have a life of their own, the life of dignity. Many of them trained and they're working as in industrial setting. The so-called branded shirt or a dress material which you buy in an international place in down in Seattle or somewhere in New York, that is being stitched somewhere in Bhubaneswar or in Dhaka or in Ghaziabad somewhere. Who is stitching them? Somebody has to stitch. So we train these girls, adolescent girls, into that job. Today they are living a life of dignity, air-conditioned room, 25,000 salary, decent work, and they are no more there for exploitation. I can give examples so many of them. These are the cases where the adolescents can be given priority if the CSR funds can be dovetail into their welfare, dovetail into their development, dovetail into their growth. I think we'll be doing a great service to the nation, whichever country it is, Bangladesh, Nepal, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, all in the same boat. Even Pakistan. I think the CSR should have, all those concerned with the CSR should try and focus on this particular aspect which you rightly mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matt. Wonderful discussion. Let me come to Dr. Mahfuzul Haq.
Yes,
Dr. Mahfuzul Haq has a long years journey both in government, hierarchy level, and of course in education, academic. Both you have actually both the test, right? You were long time you were in policy level, decision making level. So this time during this pandemic, government is trying to solve by their all means so many problems. But matter is, out of that, so far we know more than 5 crore people, they are starving. I got a message. I just read an article wrote by Masood Khan. Masood bhai, you wrote an article a few days back. I just read it, and this is the real message. 3 to 5 crore people are suffering for food, and they will be suffering longer time after this because people are losing their job. Father losing job, in that case, son and daughter are in danger in terms of education and other costs and other expenses. So how, and even industry are in loss project, industry also suffering during this. So how you can use and share your long years practical experiences, and you have had a study and affiliation with a study of bills on CSR. So what is the status and how you can share us actually your just life experiences, potentials of CSR in Bangladesh?
Sorry, Habib. I would say that this technology is not that smart these days. It's so difficult to understand. So difficult to understand your points, your questions as such.
Thank you.
But yeah,
My question was just
can
from
you
your
please write it down for me, please? Can you please write it down? Is it possible for you to just write it down very quickly? What you wanted to know?
Are you using laptop or mobile? Laptop.
Not working.
Actually, this thing happening everywhere. Where there are so many speakers together, someone face this crisis. It's true and it's natural nowadays in new normal situation because user of internet.
Habib, let me share some of my experience in Bangladesh. Although I couldn't understand your points, I couldn't understand your technical problems. So let me share some of my experience in Bangladesh. As of now, in Bangladesh, we don't have any CSR policy as such. No national CSR policy. But some of the banks, especially the Bangladesh Bank, has been a pioneer in conducting CSR activities as of now. Bangladesh Bank, and followed by a number of public banks in Bangladesh, they have been conducting the CSR activities. That's one important thing. And also side by side, we have some fast-moving consumer goods, some some telecom companies. So they are also providing the activities in Bangladesh. Although there is no such dedicated CSR fund, no such CSR for disbursement of the CSR activities, but this is being followed. With this being followed, I would say more some informal way in Bangladesh. Some of the companies are conducting. Just to brief you a little bit about about a survey. I think it might be of some help to you and to all others. The Social Responsibility Asia, SR Asia, we did conduct a survey of 20 companies. Banks, RMG, pharmaceuticals, FMCG, telecom communication, and so on and so forth. We did conduct, and we did find that good number of them are providing funds for education, for community development, for health, for environment, disaster response, and so on and so forth. So today we are discussing about COVID, this coronavirus issue. I'm hopeful that through the CSR fund it is possible, and the companies can go for branding their products through the CSR fund, and go for undertaking some activities related to the health sector. Setting up of ICU, or setting up of a corona unit in hospitals, and so on and so forth. It's possible. So based on that, I would like to believe that it's possible. We can our corporate bodies would be willing to to devote a good chunk of their CSR in this activities. It's possible, and it could be done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for good sharing. Very good sharing. Thank you, sir. So, dear viewers, please share this. Dear viewers, those who are already joined us and watching this show, please share it so that other friends could join. And I will come again to Professor Banshidhar Pandey, and then I will come back to Mr. Masood Khan. So, actually, that would be the last 2 minutes before saying goodbye. We will continue up to 90 minutes. 90 minutes. So Professor Banshidhar Pandey will get just 3 minutes. After 3 minutes this round, and he will get again maximum 1 minute later on to say actually the feelings. So that I asked you earlier, still there is a question that Dr. Mahfuzul was telling, that was the real scenario in that sense, but it's developing. Thing is, when foreign buyers are coming, foreign investors are coming, they are thinking for sustainable business, and this trend goes on. In Bangladesh, it's fantastic. It's going on and it's doing a better work nowadays. So, Professor Pandey, what is your experience there in terms of policy, percentage sharing, and the chamber, how people are there working, and is there any specific wing of, within the corporation, how they are operating and dispersing the fund of CSR in your area? Just overall your experience in that part.
Thank you, Dr. Rahman. I would like to refer a policy of government during the COVID, that is the government of India inspiring the companies to provide social support in this age of COVID-19. As per a report of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, that is on the 23rd of March 2020, and the sentences said in this report that all expenditure incurred on activities related to COVID-19 will be added as the permissible avenues for CSR expenditure. It means the companies can make their expenditure on the COVID-19 issues, and it will be added as the avenue for CSR expenditure. Most of the companies and many companies are doing very beautifully, and many organizations have done. Also, something that many companies like Nike, Amul, Pizza Hut, Tata Motors, etc. have changed their advertisement slogans to make understand the importance of physical education. Hindustan Lever Limited, through its product Lifebuoy soap, has spread the message that washing hands frequently with any soap or hand wash or alcohol-based sanitizer to combat against the spread of coronavirus. You can understand the meaning of this. Apart from this, some blue chip companies like Infosys Foundation, ITC Limited, State Bank of India, Hindustan Unilever Limited, TCS, Reliance Industries have done many things. They have contributed in PM Care funds, rupees 500 crore, rupees 100 crore, and written many things. SBI, this means State Bank of India, also announced to provide 0.2% of its net profit of financial year 2019-20 to combat against the COVID-19. Again, Hindustan Unilever Limited, along with providing rupees 100 crore, reduced prices of their soap sanitizers for their customers. It also Domex Lifebuoy sanitizer, Domex bathroom and floor cleaner soap, hand wash, health kits to the hospital and underprivileged person free of cost. TCS prioritized itself in providing COVID-19 pattern trackers, health kits, ventilators for the poor person. Reliance Industries Limited provides the first 100-bed COVID-19 hospital, 50 lakh free meals, 1 lakh mask, free fuel for energy vehicles, and daily wise 1000 PP ticket for healthcare workers. It also provides rupees 500 crore to PM Care funds. And we can add on many firms and many companies, not like these companies, very small companies of the local area, state level. They are helping at their level best. As far as the academic institutions, the schools, universities, they are not corporate, but they are also doing their work as assuming their social responsibility. So we can say the government promoted the social responsibility among the corporates as well as among the public sector industries, among the public sector ventures, and many more people at individual level doing very good. And we have seen, and we hope that they will do in the same manner that they are doing, and it will affect more, because the bonding between the industries and people and community has been very good in last 3 and 4 months, as well as I hope it will get more benefit to the people who are living in rural community, tribal community, and urban community. Only one point and I will end my submission. We need 4 types of help. As being social worker, I have observed. The one thing is prevention, that is preventive things. Second is developmental. The third one, that is curative, and the fourth one is rehabilitative. And for that, we have to strategic plan the things. What we will do in CSR, we have to plan in these 4 areas. That is for the preventive measure, for example, vaccines, for example, the health facilities, for example, the sanitization facility, that is the prevention. But about the developmental activities, we also keep our point skill development program, education program, and employment program. The third one is corrective measures. To corrective measures, we have to provide employment those who have lost their employment. And the fourth one is rehabilitation of community of rural people, community of farmer people, and community of worker people. And in that way, we can use CSR in better. Thank you, Professor Rahman.
Thank you, Professor Pandey, for wonderful and thoughtful discussion. I will come to Mr. Masood Khan, as really he is a long years experienced personality in that part, really. But before coming to him, there is a question. Masood, could you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right. There is a question from someone. Is there specific rules of the companies for distribution of CSR funds? Actually, this is a question. And before coming to you, we had a study conducted by BILS, Bangladesh Institute of Labor Studies. They conducted that study. That was a survey of 8 companies. And they published it about the understanding of owners regarding CSR, like how owners of the company understand CSR or take CSR as a concept. One company mentioned, like Square Pharmaceuticals, that recognize CSR as the continuing commitment by the business to behave ethically and contribute to economic development of the workforce, their families, local community, as well as society at large. I just mentioned it because someone is mentioning, like one milk industry that mentioned CSR is basically work for humanity. Actually, they are doing so many works. They are positively working, but there were some questions. One is in the companies where there are trade union exist. If there is trade union exists, there is a different scenario of execution of CSR funds by the dedicated wing of the CSR of that company, or where there is no trade union functional, there is different scenario. So this is my feelings. If you kindly share us what is exactly going on and what you really love to share us from your real life experiences in that 3 components of CSR. Mr. Masood Khan, please.
Okay, 2 issues. The first one is that specifically you asked the question, are there any specific rules in Bangladesh for spending CSR money?
Yeah.
India, I know a very specific rule. One doctor said that 2% of your net profit under Section 135. I know about this rule also because I had a company in India where I was looking after. In Bangladesh, there is no specific rule. Only thing is that Bangladesh Bank has given a guideline for banking companies that they can spend up to 10% of the net profit for CSR. This is the guideline of Bangladesh Bank so far as CSR is concerned. But we have seen some cases of new banks where they're spending very high amounts, in fact, close to 100% of the net profit in CSR just to reduce the tax burden, actually, in fact. This is point number 1. Point number 2, what you're mentioning about trade unions, this is actually something else we are talking about. You're talking about the Workers' Profit Participation Fund. In the Workers' Profit Participation Fund, 20% is for welfare fund and 80% is distributed amongst the workers. Out of the 80%, 2/3 is cash distribution and 1/3 is invested. And out of the 20%, 10% has to be given to the government welfare fund, and the 10% has to be spent for the welfare of the employees. This is exactly what you're talking about when you said earlier that where companies have got trade unions, they try to make sure that this money is spent only for the purposes they are mentioning actually, in fact. So again, just to summarize, there is no specific guideline in Bangladesh like in India, other than the banking sector, where Bangladesh Bank has given a guideline to the banks to spend 10% of their profits for CSR purposes. Now I come back to my experience because I would like to spend some time on this one, because the work that has been done by some of the companies where I work is simply astounding. First, I come to British American Tobacco, my first company where I spent almost 20 years. Do you know that over the last 40 years, British American Tobacco has given saplings, tree saplings, 105 million tree saplings. This is the largest afforestation program done in this country so far, actually, in fact. And they won an award for this. In fact, the place where they have got their tobacco cultivation, Kushtia, they have actually greened that place totally. It was almost a desert, and now it's a green place, actually, in fact. This is British American Tobacco. Coming to my second company where I work, which is Lafarge Sumer Cement, a cross-border company between India and Bangladesh. There, the work that we have done in CSR is absolutely simply exemplary. Why exemplary? Two things. Number one, when the cement plant was made, a lot of people were displaced. They had their homes there, they had the land there, we acquired the land. So what we did was that, first of all, we carried out a survey in terms of these people, what was the level of their livelihood, how much income they were actually earning. After we made the cement plant, we gave them land elsewhere. We gave them double the land they had. We constructed the homes. We reskilled everybody, and we carried out a study to make sure that ultimately the amount they were earning before the cement plant was made, are they still earning the same level of earnings? This is the part in Bangladesh part. In the Indian part, where the quarry is located in the remote corner of Shela, which is very close to the Bangladesh border, there also a lot of work was done in terms of CSR, because this is a remote location. So first was health. Number two was we set up a school there. Number three was that we did a skill development program there. We did a lot of infrastructure work there in terms of making football stadiums, in terms of making homes for them. A lot of work was done actually in that place for India as well as Bangladesh. In Bangladesh also, for example, we made a school for the people. We had 5 clinics there. A lot of work was done in terms of CSR and specifically towards the community. Now, I'll just mention about 2 other very important CSR programs that we did in GlaxoSmithKline, Bangladesh, and in Marico, Bangladesh, where I'm also director actually. In Glaxo, we have got a scheme which is absolutely mind-boggling, because I was in Glaxo for 6 years as a independent director, and now I'm the chairman. What we started was a program where we started reinvesting 20% of our profit for CSR. 20%, I repeat the figure actually. Now, we did 2 things actually, in fact. The first one was a public-private partnership. The public-private partnership actually was with the Ministry of Health and Planning and Care, along with GSK. And what we did was that, especially in the Howrah areas of Sunamganj, we found that there were very few qualified health services. So people, let's say women, when they are giving prenatal and postnatal, let's say childbirth, there was a lot of mortality, for example, let's say. Plus, they did not have any idea about the basic healthcare system. So what we did was that we, first of all, made sure we selected some of these people, and they were trained in the Bangladesh Nursing Council for 6 months. They had a full training of 6 months, after which they did a lot of work in terms of childhood illness, family planning, eye screening, non-communicable diseases. A lot of work was done on this score, and some of the numbers are simply astounding. For example, let's say the number of antenatal cases that we treated was more than 6 lakh. The number of postnatal cases was more than 3 lakhs. The number of newborn care, for example, let's say ENC, essential newborn care that we say, it is more than 3 lakhs. Number of, let's say, community international management childhood illness, that is more than 2 lakhs. So this is one big job that was done by GSK in Sunamganj Howrah area. The second one was with the ready-made garments industry. There also we found that as far as the healthcare system is concerned, it's very, very poor. So we started working with a number of companies, RMG ready-made garments companies, in terms of improving the healthcare access. So for example, let's say in terms of increasing preventive and curative services, mobilizing communities through creating health reference works, etc. And in terms of the achievements till date, we reached more than 83,000 beneficiaries, 1,891 health champions we identified, 12,100 workers we actually developed. So a lot of work was done in this core as far as RMG is concerned. Now the other company, which is Marico Bangladesh, there also we did 2 flagship projects. One is in terms of looking at the ultra poor. And this also was actually a joint venture project with the UNDP, Bangladesh government, and Marico as well. So what we did was that we looked at climate change, the discussion that we're having today. And we looked at the coastal belt of Satkhira and Kurigram. Kurigram, as you know, is the poorest district in Bangladesh. So what we did was that we targeted the poor women, the women who are actually heading the households of this community, actually, in fact. And we did skill development. And also what we did was that we gave them small loans. So to buy a cow, for example, or a goat, for example. And this way, we changed the livelihood of a lot of people, actually, in fact, in terms of giving them skill development. The second flagship project the Marico did was this, what we call Marico Adamma project. So this is actually an organization that treats with the physically disabled. So what we did was that we tied up with this Adamma Foundation, and we started doing with people who have got speech and hearing disabilities. We started training these people, and right now this training is still going on and trying to reskill these people so that ultimately they come to sort of viable opportunities in terms of occupation. So this is in short that what we did in terms of CSR in some of these companies. Before I conclude, I'd just like to say one more thing. What about CSR in the COVID times? That's the question that was raised by you as well. To my mind, the 2 things are there. One is the healthcare, as we all talked about, in giving, let's say, for example, masks or sanitizers. This is, of course, common. But to my mind, the most important part today is the employees' well-being. And when I say employees' well-being,
Excellent.
I'm talking about making sure that nobody loses a job. Everybody is given the assurance that your job is going to continue. The 2 companies that I work for, in these cases, we made sure that the MD calls up every employee in person and tells him that your job is secure, you're not going to lose your job, your family will be looked after, and you'll get every benefits that we require. And don't worry about your salary, you'll be looked after. Just do your work and don't do anything else. Do you know that within this period, Marico, they made 2 launches of product actually, because the employees there are so very motivated. Same with GSK also. To my mind, this is the biggest part of CSR when we talk about people. The biggest part is people here, employees and communities. How do you help the communities?
Right.
We say that this is the time. We say a friend in need is a friend indeed. And this is the time to help, because whatever help you give now will be remembered indefinitely for life, actually, in fact, by the employees and by the communities. This is what I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Masood Bhai. Thank you. It's a very, very thoughtful discussion and time-fit discussion, really, that you are doing all together. It's an amazing discussion. And that was my question. During COVID, many people are losing their job. They are losing jobs. So as a first stakeholder, CSR should be, this time as a contingency fund, it should be utilized for them not to cut their job, not to off their job from their job. That would be amazing thing, rather doing other thing more, right? You did cover many things together. So let me come to, as time concern also, come to Selina Ahmed, Ena. Selina, this is last 2 minutes sharing. We are just coming. Within short time, we'll conclude this. So how you are thinking so in your organization or previous or other organizations, because we are saying people are gradually being inhuman sometimes, that we actually see from the social media, because of want of money, lack of financial ability, loss of job, and there are so many crises happening around. So what is your suggestions in aligned with Mr. Masood Khan?
So it's really difficult for me. Actually, our today's panelist is very expert. I learned a lot actually from their discussion. To me, actually, I would like to say that a CSR fund, what Sir also already mentioned, Vasu sir, and I also agree that's the livelihood actually. That's a major issues now. But I think there's the informal sector; those are working. I think more investment also needed for them too. And also equity-based intervention is really, really important here. So based on the equity, actually, if we can invest more, the fund, so those are at risk, those are more vulnerable, so they can be benefited through CSR funds. So I'd like to suggest, or just request to the companies or those they have the CSR provision, so they can invest on that. And it is really important that we need to keep in our mind actually our principles of CSR, and all the environmental effect and the philanthropic, our ideology, and as well as the volunteerism. And so those are the major principles we need to follow our CSR initiatives. And based on BRAC also, I would like to say that actually, there's lots of enterprises. So we are also investing, and we are also targeting so like in terms of person with disability, I would like to say women who are pregnant, single mother, and as well as the other trans community. And also the Haor and ethnic community we are targeting. They are more vulnerable in this situation. So through our interventions, we are also trying to invest on that part. There's from CSR fund as well as from enterprise level, what we have, we are also investing in the development part. So that is really important. I think that based on equity, we need to take measures. So we should remember that this time in the COVID situation and post-COVID, actually, what we have to face, we never know the consequence. It could be, I think, in terms of economical, in terms of psychological, social, and all aspects. Actually, we have to face lots of obstacles. So we should have the readiness. So the private partner, public partnership is really important to work together to face these challenges. Those are coming actually. So that is probably.
Thank you, Appa. Thank you for good input. Thank you, Appa. Very good discussion. I will come to Dr. Mahfuzul Haq. Then I will come to Dr. PM Nair. Dr. Mahfuzul Haq was Secretary of Bangladesh government, and he is academician. So from your experience, sir, there are questions, there are needs, there are emergencies, and everybody's mind, there is a ask for uses of CSR properly, but there is no specific policy that we could know, that you shared, that Mr. Masood Khan shared, that Bangladesh Bank initiated that one, but it's more functional for financial organizations so far. But there are so many multinationals and nations companies, they are doing their own, by their own initiative. So do you think, is there any specific policies required, and how we can proceed? Government can take this, or any companies, or we collectively can proceed to have that policy in Bangladesh that might be a milestone to use these CSR funds collectively, either separately or by their collectively in government initiative. So what do you think, sir? Just experience, what your opinion actually? This is not a question. What do you think? Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, Habib, because of this technical problem. it's so difficult to follow the deliberation. Sometimes it is so good, I could hear all of you so well, but sometimes it was so difficult that I couldn't follow. But in any case, Mr. Masood Khan did say a lot of issues, raised the issues, especially related to Bangladesh Bank and other banks and some multinational corporations, as well as fast-moving consumer goods, BAT, for example. I know he raised a very important issues. I would say that I would like to touch upon another issue, is that NGOs. NGOs can also play a good role in a case of collaboration, in a case of cooperation with the CSR fund, with the corporate bodies. For example, BRAC. These days we're having BRAC in a big way in testing coronavirus, testing, and also going some for the treatment as well. So the NGOs also can play a very important role, and how to bring them in, NGOs and the government, that's something to look into. I would suggest that maybe the fund, the corporate bodies can come forward and look for some agencies to help. Now coming back to the very important issue, Habib, as you raised, that since we have any policy, CSR policy per se in Bangladesh, established, functional, formal policy we don't have as such. It's being practiced by some of the agencies. From that point of view, well, I would say that some of the companies are started on their own, and that could be replicated by others as well. But again, in absence of policy, in absence of a law, we are looking for a CSR law some point of time. As we understand, in India, they're earning 2% of their profit. So from that perspective, if we could have some law that can give enforcement capability. And again, Habib, you also raise a very important issue like trade union, the role of the trade union. So we better need to have a vibrant, functional trade union, so that the trade union could be within the committee and look for some modalities, look for some checklist, a disbursement, so that some of the banks are spending in one small thing, and another is spending less amount. So these anomalies could be involving the trade union. I would say the very effective, vibrant, functional trade union, which is currently missing here in Bangladesh now. So those are the issues I thought we can look forward to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for good covering. Actually, that was the question of my mind, that how we can have that solution. Actually, it's a debate discussion. It might take longer time, it might be, but uncertain times so far. But CSR definitely can play a very vital role. It's playing a vital role separately by own initiatives of different corporations, different organizations. I'll come back to Dr. PM Nair for the last 3 minutes. But before coming to you, there are a few comments and greetings from the friends I should read just to share them. Dr. Dimpi Mahanta wrote, public-private partnership is extremely important, and she also wrote, regarding children in rural areas going to school mainly for midday meals is so true. Excellent analysis, Dr. Nair. Salahuddin Tariq wrote, very informative and great learning, very important. There are so many persons actually wrote inboxing me here. As the topic is CSR and the discussion is a bit thematic and not irrational, it's super tough, I think. So it's tough to have more questions on that, but we are very clear on the discussion. I do believe the people who will listen to this, watch this video later on, they might have a very good and in-depth idea on CSR in practice, and of course in policy level and written and black and white status, what is CSR going on in different fields. So Dr. PM Nair, you already heard the situation, overall side of CSR and the conditions of COVID in Bangladesh. As you read that article and books and working on that, and you have a long years experiences on Indian government, of course. So how you can even give us some suggestions to bring some policies and proper functional ways of CSR. Not only this time, this pandemic, because we should be ready for further pandemic, it might be, or any disasters, right? But if there is a specific rules and regulations and guidelines and wing of functions, that would be very effective for facing any crisis, not only COVID, in fact. So how could you share, sir, from your experience from India to Bangladesh, how it can be properly matched? Though Mr. Masood Khan shared many things from his long years experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. And as you rightly said, from the experience of the government and for after government for the last 7 years outside in the corporate sector, I can definitely say that there is a need for convergence of the government and corporates and also other stakeholders. Like somebody mentioned about NGO, there are many philanthropic citizens of the country. So many youth who have passed out of the institutions of repute wanting to do social work. So such people can come together. And I'm sure this brainstorming among them can bring out a new methodology of the entire CSR approach. Instead of having it in silos, I'm doing something good, which I think is good. You are doing something good, which you are thinking is good. I think it's time all of us come together and see from a larger perspective. And in that, you come out with a new paradigm. Issues are plenty. At the same time, the focus of CSR generally remains to a particular area. X company would like to focus on Y work because that gives them a leverage. Maybe their people are there, their captive area is there, their sales are happening there, or their production is there. It's a truth. Now, I work for a company, I'm an advisor as a senior position in a Star Health Insurance company in Chennai. The biggest, largest health insurance company in Chennai. The chairman of the company is a wonderful guy. No employee ever sacked. No employee will be sacked. Assured of your full salary, assured of your promotions. All this are being done because he's a great man. Now, so many companies are doing this, but I have seen next door, many companies are not doing that. So when those companies are not doing, this company chairman goes and gives them food, gives them this, gives them that. That's a human attitude. But that is an individual intention or aspiration. What we need to do is bring it on a larger platform, make it an institutional mechanism. When you think of an institutional mechanism, the entire CSR approach should have a clear-cut element of reaching to the last person. That should be the last mile, should be our approach. Madam represents, Selina represents the difficult section of women. She said about acid victims. That sort of people who consider such people. They are not in the scheme of things for anybody because corporate may not know because they are in a different world. Now, I would say certain elements can be focused on. Like example, in Bangladesh, in India, Nepal, all together, village level skilling of the youth and children. Village level. You may not get publicity there. If you do in Delhi or Mumbai or in Kolkata or in Chennai, you will get a lot of photographs. But if you are going to down south in a village, you may not get photographs. But let's forget about the photograph. We think about the rights perspective. The second point I want to bring is a rights perspective and not a welfare perspective. Like, can we change our paradigm into a different model of being a rights-oriented? If village children are suffering, village women are suffering, if there are a difficult scenario in difficult places, let's focus on them. Their NGOs can come together with the corporates and government and panchayat can come together. Second is now that COVID scenario has come, though I need not touch upon that, as you rightly said, but this COVID is going to stay for, I don't know, we don't know how long. Classrooms have disappeared. Elite children have their own schools and colleges or electronic media is there, but other children, middle class and poor class children have no schools and colleges. So can corporates come into villages and start a community classroom? Their schools can be elsewhere, teachers can give classes, etc. But in every village, can we have a community classroom? So there you need it's not like a rocket science. You can have a media, government of India has got publicity in various places. They have all the systems available there. Small systems can be started. A corporate sector, CSR can provide funds for that and start with the community classrooms where the technology can come in, panchayat can come in, the government can come in, and the corporate can come in and make a difference there. Third point I would say, it's about the issue of our children at home. We don't think that children at home are enjoying their internet and having a good lifestyle. The more the internet has come into the children or the youth, the violators, the exploiters have also come in. The human trafficking has gone so high. I don't know, you'll be surprised to know, all of us will be surprised to know, a study by an agency in Delhi, Indian Child Foundation Child Fund, they have found during the last 2 months' time, the number of people in India who have been searching for child pornography is more than 5 million. More than 5 million people are searching for child pornography in the net. Who are these people? Are they doing pujas, offering something to children? They are doing for child pornography. Who are they? They are watching to exploit the children. They are human predators. Now, therefore, corporate social responsibility can be focused on educating the children who have cell phones, educating the children who have smartphones. I know how to take care of myself, but adolescents don't know. The children don't know. So can we bring about a mission of corporate social responsibility in educating the adolescents and the children as to how the safety protocols of the cell phone, safety protocols of the net. Last but not the least, since I work on this issue of human trafficking, I should not leave the floor without that. A lot of children are going missing in India, Nepal, Bangladesh. Every year, something around 40,000 children in India remain untraced. Something around 20,000 children in India, in Bangladesh, remain untraced. Something around 10,000 children in Nepal remain untraced. Where are they? Indian children will be in Bangladesh. Bangladesh will be in India. They are all there. So can all the corporates come together in the 3 regions? Whoever is interested, work along with the international agencies. Governments will come later. International agencies, UNICEF, or any particular agency for that matter, and the NGOs working on this. NGOs, there are many NGOs who are ready to work. Come along with them and make out some system, electronic system by which Plan International had developed one missing child alert that has not taken shape. We need to get that on board. I find it a very serious issue. The child goes missing and being languishing somewhere and being violated somewhere and being exploited somewhere. Who is there to care for them? So let's work together. And if the corporate social responsibility can come on to this, that will be also a great thing. I gave only 3 examples, but the philosophy remains that we need to change from the welfare perspective to rights perspective, and also from not seeing from a narrow interest, see the larger interest of the community, which we always keep saying, but we need to take it forward. That mission can be done through your august audience and through your esteemed efforts. I really appreciate you for taking this initiative. Thank you. Namaste. Adab.
Thank you, Dr. PM Nair. Thanks for wonderful discussion. Dear viewers, we are very close to the end. Actually, that would be the last minute talk from all distinguished speakers now. Just to share from them lessons of COVID. Actually, what COVID taught us already. Within 1 minute, I'm coming back to Dr. Pandey. Dr. Pandey, this is the last minute maximum. I mean, time from 30 seconds to 60 seconds, just to say goodbye and say what, in a word or 2 words, what COVID taught us, really.
Actually, as far as my personal concern, COVID taught me a lot. Many friends we got online, not offline. And some are very good friends like Professor Rahman as well. And my very good friend always keep to say that be honest to everyone and value the human relation. That is the most valuable thing for me during the COVID pandemic of 2020. But in fact, as well as the professional front concerned, we can do many things. We learn many ventures. As Dr. Nair said a few times before, that we could not think about this time discussion on any academic debate, but we have learned that we could do it. And it is really heartwarming to observe that corporate sector NGOs come forward to support the various COVID-19 relief programs. But dear viewers, at the same time, it is extremely important that each one of us also contribute at an individual level. by taking a place to help and make an impact in our little way. Since I belong to the institution which is established by none other than Gandhiji, I would like to end my submission with his quote. Mahatma Gandhi once said, to give pleasure to a single heart by a single act is better than 1,000 heads going in prayer. Thank you very much, Rahman sir, for giving me opportunity to talk with many viewers and with a very learned person in the panelist. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for wonderful last comments from Gandhiji. Let's come to Selina Medina. Appa, could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Thank you so much.
In a word or two or three words, what actually COVID taught you in person in your life? What you learned, right?
I think we should be more empathetic. Together, we are the resilient people. So together, we can rebuild our life. So togetherness is very important. We should be much more empathetic to each other. That is really important, and that's a big reason for me too. So I can say that.
Excellent, Appa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot from all of you. Actually, it's just a very learned discussion. All panelists, I'm really grateful and thank you again, Habib Bhai, for inviting me. It's really
Thank you, Appa. Thank you for your last few words. We are very inspired. Hopefully, all the audience and friends are here. So let me come to Mr. Masood Khan. Masood Bhai, already I'm getting comments, and this is a trivia discussion on CSR. Though I have a little knowledge, but I have a courage and passionate mind to share with the people, with some tricky, some tough areas which are really people's demand, but not in market. That's why I just brought it. And I'm very honored as you and all 5 speakers, panelists are here today with me. Approximately 15 to 2 hours, 15 minutes to 2 hours time already gone. So Masood Bhai, in corporate, in your busy life that you mentioned, 24 hours you have a schedule to work. So what COVID changes in you? In a few words, time is 1 minute, last minute. Thank you.
Before I go to COVID, I would just like to touch upon 2 things very quickly, because we have not talked about, let's say, climate. We should have talked about climate, because what corporates need to do as far as climate is concerned is very important. All corporates now should do sustainable reporting, especially in terms of fuel use, in terms of electricity use, in terms of water use. These are very, very important points for corporates to ponder upon, because this is what we call renewable sources actually. Point number 1. Point number 2 is we have not talked about circular economy. In a circular economy, ultimately we recycle everything. So for example, Unilever, the company now actually I'm working with now, GSK has been bought by Unilever now. Their policy is to make sure that by 2025 to recycle every packaging material, because in that case we are really talking about circular economy. And last but not the least, as far as COVID is concerned, COVID has taught us a lot of things now, because it has taught us that as far as, let's say, as far as skill is concerned, the whole world is for you now. You don't have to go to physical offices. The brick and mortar offices are disappearing. You can sit in Bangladesh and you can work for Apple. You don't have to go to USA to get a US visa and work there. The skill is worldwide now. So anybody can work anywhere, and this is actually what COVID has taught us. This is now a paradigm shift. The world will never be the same post-COVID. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your last words. Actually, COVID taught us many things. Just to be calculative in that way, we never thought this issue that we should be not miser but calculative in electricity saving and some other power saving, which is renewable or recycling process being held, but which will be tough definitely later on. So let's come to Dr. Mahfuzul Haq. Sir, could you hear me? Your mic is mute. Dr. Mahfuzul Haq. Could you hear me, sir?
Okay. Yes. Habib, this session was excellent. This session was excellent,
okay.
and yeah, yes, okay. This session is excellent, especially as a very important issue like corporate social responsibility, and there is a great room for that. To expand the whole thing, bringing the biological disaster also in mind. There is a great room for that, and I hope, especially taking cue from Mr. Masood Khan, he raised a very important issue is that perhaps we may take some resolution from these discussions that, if we are looking for CSR and then also going for job cut, we are going for salary cut. They don't go together. So CSR and job cut and salary cut, they don't go together. So, to maintain that one, we should ensure that the companies should look into their employees, their staff members, so that they can work peacefully. Just one more small thing, Professor Habib, is that we were discussing about the online classes. I found online classes really hopeless and frustrating, really frustrating. From that perspective, we should bring out something, how to bring the students in the classroom. I don't know how. We were talking about community class, other issues, but I would say the online classes not working, not functional as such. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your last valued input, last minute talk. The last speaker, honorable speaker, Dr. PM Nair. This is your last minute feeling sharing on this situation, COVID and overall. But time is very short, 1 minute.
Sure, 40 seconds. The first point is COVID. What COVID taught us, a tiny microorganism has taken the whole world to ransom. We thought it would be militants or the hijackers or the extremists or the atom bombs that's going to take the world to the ransom. The third world, fourth world war or something like that. Nothing happened. A small microorganism can take all of us to ransom. We realize how things are changing. We never knew it can happen like this. Today we learned that. Second point, no revolution or evolution could bring the world together like this. Today the world is one. Across the globe, people have come together to fight COVID. I don't think you could have ever imagined any situation where the whole world would have come together. Today the whole world is one. Real Vasudhaiva Kudumbagam, Dr. Pandey said, means the world is one family. COVID has taught us to be united. COVID has taught us not to take things for granted. Today we are one. COVID says, live together or else you will perish. Together, now or never. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The last minute talk was amazing. Actually, there are a few comments. I will conclude this within a minute. Just let me check the comments. Last comment from Sujan Banerjee. I'm working on CSR for my PhD. And Jahirul Islam, thanks for CSWPD, Habib Rahman. Feeling enlightened after listening them. Thanks, Rahman, sir, for arranging this session. Valuable delegates for their valuable space. Jahirul Islam, undoubtedly, today's episode was excellent. Thanks to all rich panel members. Best wishes to all of you. Vishanti Shapal, she is very renowned professor in South Africa. By this time, she was teaching in Norway and United Arab Emirates. She was watching. Thank you, Vishanti, Professor Vishanti. Thanks, it's my honor. Dimple Mahanta wrote, wonderfully concluded, lovely listening to you, Professor Pandey. Sujan Banerjee, wonderful discussion. Pratibha Mistro, Professor Pratibha is a very renowned and senior professor in India, living together and win the situation. Thank you for your comment. Sujan and Charing Negi, actually I'm not sure from which country you are writing. And there are a few more comments from Dr. Dimple Mahanta and Abul Kashim wrote also. It's a big comment. Companies or corporates provision CSR funds with a view to supporting the customers, suppliers, employers who have been directly or indirectly impacted impacted by their business. Thanks for your comment. Abul Kashem, he is high official of PKSF, Bangladesh. And there are many more comments, dear viewers. Let me conclude this session. The last minute talk from my side is, I should say, these days we are disguised honest man, because Napoleon said, the world suffers a lot, not for because of the violence of the bad people. The world suffers a lot because of the silence of the good people. We think the world is suppressed by a very, very few notorious, very, very few culprits, very, very few big and evil hearts. So if we really think we are honest person, we are dedicated for the nation, dedicated for me, we should be outspoken, raising all kinds of distraction from a single or few people in the society, not only in Bangladesh, not only in India, in the whole world. So this is the time COVID really taught us. I'm completely agreeing all of your comments. Again, my comments is, this is the time we should stand on and be aligned properly with the spiritual belief, with the top heart, honest heart, just to bring a sound global community. Thank you, sir. I'm very honored to have you here together, 2 hours. Thank you, Selina Appa. Thank you, Masood Bhai. All are very busy actually, but I'm honored to have you here 2 hours with me. And my passion is just to share your knowledge, to share with the people globally. Professor Ghulam Maghdur was watching from America. So there are so many people watching this show, Community Talks. And this is such a platform, globally renowned already, ranked that it's sharing people talks from all corners of the world on different topics that can really give people some ventilations during this COVID era and the post-COVID scenario, having some sharing of thoughtful knowledge. Thank you again. I would like to say goodbye, and you can say goodbye to all of you. Sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good night to everyone.
Good night. Good night to all of you.